My name is Jess. I typically go by Jess. I live right outside of Omaha, Nebraska, and here with my two Siberian Huskies. I actually full time. I actually work at a place called 88 Tactical, where I actually do all the corporate memberships. I actually bartend there as well. I'm going to say for fun on the weekends. And then I own my Physique Maker LLC, where I do online personal training and nutrition. And then I do some in-person personal training as well at Activate Fitness here in town. And then I'm going to say in my spare time, get to the gym, walk a lot, hang out with my pups.
What really led you down the path of like exercise and fitness and health and all that kind of stuff?
Very active family, I guess. Growing up, my dad was a Division 1 athlete. My brothers were athletes, so it's just kind of something we did a lot. I grew up a runner. I'm not super coordinated, so like, basketball, volleyball, like I did play those sports, but I was not good by any means. So one foot in front of the other was not that difficult. So I grew up running a lot, and so kind of an active family. But then when I got into high school, my I'm going to say PE teacher at the time, Darren Garfield, actually started a powerlifting team. And so I started actually powerlifting at like 16 years old. So, a lot of people ask me how long I've been doing this. I'm about to be 38 years old. So I've been lifting since I was 16. So it's not definitely not like an overnight thing by any means, but started lifting when I was 16. I actually got hooked up then with the athletic trainer for the I'm going to say hospital not too far. So I kind of, worked a little bit under her wing and kind of that was my original major in college, was athletic training before I switched to kinesiology. So kind of all ties in a little bit together, but I suppose it kind of originated from, a active family who, worked out and, was very active that way, and kind of getting into powerlifting at a really young age.
I was actually a athletic training major before I switched over to exercise science. But what made you want to make that switch to kinesiology?
Yeah, great question. So, when I was going to college, athletic training was kind of fairly new as an actual major, so there were only kind of a handful of like accredited schools in the area where, obviously at the end of the time you had to take your certification exam and all of that stuff. So there were only a handful of accredited schools. So I started off right here in Omaha at UNO with an accredited program. And the biggest reason that I switched, and I mean, this is going to sound terrible now, but I was hell bent on working with an NFL team. Like that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be in football. I wanted to be with football. And at the time, it was kind of something that was new anyway. But my count or my guidance counselor at the school and a couple of the other lead instructors for the athletic training program basically said like, hey, right now, like they don't use women athletic trainers in the NFL or in college football, and so at the time I'm like, well, dang, like that's really what I wanted to do, and so they just kind of had that hard conversation because at the time it wasn't a thing. Like they really didn't use women athletic trainers in the NCAA or NFL or anything like that. So I'm like, okay, well, regroup a little bit. The other thing is that I was kind of I've always been a little bit of a busy bee in the fact that I have a lot going on, and I was actually working full time when I was in college. And so if you are working in the training room, you're not making any money, as you probably know. So I was trying to work and to actually make money and to go to school at the same time. And there's just not enough hours of the day to go to class, to be in the training room, and to have a job and make money. So I kind of had to weigh the options a little bit on that. So I started kind of exploring a couple of different opportunities, and kinesiology kind of was the one that fit the best a little bit, just because of the different avenues that you can take with kinesiology. If I at the time decided to go into physical therapy school or chiropractic school or something like that, it's a really good base for pretty much any of those premises.
You mentioned that athletic training, the opportunities, especially for the females on that side, really weren't there when you were, coming up in and wanting to do that. I mean, how did you respond to that? Are you a personal trainer, online fitness coach, or gym owner on the verge of burnout? Are you wanting to grow your fitness business but can't add more hours to your hectic schedule? Introducing Trainer Revenue Multiplier, the premier wealth creation system for fitness professionals that helps you earn more and work less. Visit www.trainerrevenuemultiplier.com today to schedule your free business accelerator session. If you're serious about taking your business to the next level, schedule your call today.
Yeah, it's interesting just because so I like I said, my dad was a Division I athlete, played football for the University of Nebraska, and I grew up with brothers. So I mean, the fact that I'm a middle girl of two brothers that grew up on a cattle ranch basically tells you everything that you need to know about me. But yeah, it's definitely not something that I really had to face at the time. But understanding that, it was a kind of a new field or a new major, I guess, because obviously athletic training and that has been around forever. But just really understanding the why behind the what, a little bit. And obviously, fast forward 15 years of me being out of college, and there's women NFL coaches now and things like that. But I think at the time, with it being so new and all of that, it was just kind of one of those where, like, look, we're just going to give you the hard reality of, like, if this is what you're wanting to do, it's going to be pretty difficult to do, and there was actually a guy in my class who went on to be the athletic trainer for the Indianapolis Colts, so I'm like, dang, that I went to class with that guy every single day. Like, we did the same thing, we were in the same labs, and he's doing exactly what I want to do, type of thing. So it was one of those. But I'm going to say no regrets in the fact that, like, where I ended up doing and all of that was probably kind of what fit me better anyway, going back to the whole making money and all of that. I mean, athletic trainers work their butts off. They travel with teams, they spend long hours, they do all of that. And it's kind of, at the end of the day, not like a ton of reward as far as, like, monetary side of that. Athletic trainers don't make a ton of money, where, I did end up going into personal training, and I was a commissioned personal trainer for a long time. And, which kind of has led into my sales career, I'm going to say, because, as a personal trainer and as somebody who is working for commission at 22 years old, when I got out of college, like, hell yeah, I'm going to work as many hours as I can. Oh yeah. And the more hours that I work, the more money that I make, even better, so it was kind of one of those where I think that probably fit my personality a little bit better anyway. So, kind of worked out for the better for me anyway.
I think when you go to college for something and you're around this specific field and this information and everybody knows it that you're around, it starts to feel like, oh, well, everybody knows this. Why is that valuable? Why is somebody going to come to me to learn how to work out or learn how to, eat
Right.
right? It's like everybody knows that. Like everybody I've been around knows that. So why is what I have valuable? Was it challenging for you at all to go from like that environment of everybody knows this to now like most people that come to me aren't going to know anything?
Yeah, a little bit. And there's kind of a lot of pieces to that. When you're getting out of college and you're kind of fresh into your career and you're doing your thing, it was difficult. I started working at a gym here in Omaha that was a very well-known gym. A lot of, I'm gonna say, older crowd, just because, it had been around for a really long time, but kind of an upscale gym, which was great. Well, I roll in there as a 22-year-old kid, like, hey, I'm just starting and I'm just trying to do this. And so it was good because I think a little bit of personality, because I, struck up a lot of conversations and things like that, which is how I got a lot of clients and spent a lot of time at the gym. So I think sometimes I was getting clients by default because I was the one that was there literally all the time. If somebody was looking for a personal trainer, I just happened to be there for 12 hours a day. So here I am, type of thing. And, at 22 years old, you have nothing better to do. So you might as well just work all the time. So yeah, that. And, to your point a little bit, I mean, April will be 15 years that I've been a personal trainer, which blows my mind. So, as far as that goes, now you do see a lot of social media, and, obviously can get off on a whole tangent on this of, these influencers and people that are selling a lot of coaching and things like that, that have no training whatsoever. And so going to back to that imposter syndrome just a little bit, it is difficult. I'm going to say even more now than it was then, because if you are in a gym and you are one of, let's call it, 10 personal trainers, all of these clients have at the time had to choose between one or the 10 of us. Like, okay, you happen to be here at the time that I want to be personal training, high five, you're the one. Whereas now there is so much on the internet that, people will go onto Instagram, and I get so many messages a day when it comes to nutrition and personal training and things like that, of people that really have no formal education and really liked working out. They look the part and they're like, hey, I'm going to start an online coaching business. And then those people, spend a lot of money. They spend a lot of time with these coaches. They get their metabolisms ruined. They're, on all these fad diets. And then 2 years later, they come to me and I get to fix it because of the actual education that I have. And by no means, am I, the most educated coach out there, but there are a lot that are not. And so, what I really try to talk to a lot of people about when I do my consultations is, I don't really care if you choose me as a personal trainer or an online coach. I would love for you to do that, but just at least do your research first. How long has this person been coaching? What are their credentials? Do they have clients that will vouch for them in the fact that they are, who they say they are, things like that, and just do a little bit of research as opposed to just picking somebody randomly off the internet that you think is going to do a great job. So, I think that issue that you're kind of talking about is a little bit worse now than it even was, 15 years ago when I was getting out of college.
Yeah, everything is like bigger and more global, and your competition isn't just like you said in your gym or in your
Yeah.
city even. It's like it's everybody, and I know that, I know some. I'm certainly not going to sit here and claim to be the top 1% or anything like that in regards to knowledge or anything like that when it comes to health and fitness, but like I feel like I know some pretty good stuff, but then when I get on social media,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh wow, I don't even know what some of these people are saying. Like I don't even know some of the terms that these people are saying. Like how, and then it makes me like question myself, and it's just a big kind of like, I don't want to say it's like like a circle or whatever. It's like you start to question yourself, you start to doubt yourself, and then you lose that confidence, and then so it's kind of in that way. But yeah, like you can really find people who are so intelligent out there, and it's great too because like hey, you can learn from those people. They have a lot of them have really good information. They have maybe podcasts, they have books you can buy or whatever. So it's a kind of a really a positive thing if you utilize it in a positive way.
It really can. And, I have found myself just over the last couple years of growing my Instagram and kind of doing my thing on Instagram, on who I follow as well, because at first, when Instagram was starting to get big and grow, like follow everybody, like, oh, this person looks cool, this person looks cool, and you're following everybody. And then, kind of back to your point where, there'll be somebody who I don't know that posts information about health or fitness. And I'm like, wait, I don't think that's right. But am I wrong? Am I the one that doesn't know? And then I would start doing some research on it. And I'm like, wait a second. No, no, no. This person is posting wrong information. And so, I felt like done a good job over the past couple of years of really getting rid of those people who, maybe are a little bit of an imposter syndrome type of person of like, okay, this person like looks good and like feels like they post good information, but like really doesn't. And so it has really eliminated like, am I the one that has no idea what I'm talking about here? And unfollowed those people and really started following the people that are staples in the industry, who knows what they're talking about all the time, who posts good information. So that way, not only can I learn from them, you're totally right, but then provide that information to my clients and my audience, because I share a lot of their information, just reposting and, learning it for myself or whatever. So, just taking some time, going back to just doing some research on who these people are. Are they just on here blowing smoke and like posting cool stuff and all this, or like are they actually educated, really doing their research and posting good stuff that I can learn, and then filtering through like who's worth the follow and who's not really.
hmm I think one of the things that I sometimes struggle with in regards to like gaining information from people when I know like okay that they're associated with that information is almost like understanding that that's not their information. Like just
Yeah.
because they're sharing it and they
Yeah.
may be known for sharing it, I can also share it. And it's
Yep.
not like like scientific research isn't XYZ's. Well, I
Right.
mean, of course, if they did the research, but if they're just sharing that information, like
Right.
they just have a big audience. So people may associate them with that, but I can also share that information and not feel weird about it.
Correct. Yeah. And during my, I'm going to say competing career, I had a couple of really great coaches. And, a lot of people who are in the positions that they are, anybody looking across the board, whether you're bodybuilding, whether you're a football player, whether whatever, everybody's got a coach, right? Somebody that they're learning from, or a mentor, or something like that. And, really taking that information. And so a lot of times you see these coaches who are regurgitating the information that they're learning from their coaches, which again, to your point, isn't wrong. As long as that information is valid and correct and good, these new, I'm going to say new influencers or new personal trainers or new anybody is really just learning from their coaches and learning from the people in their community around them and regurgitating that information to their new clients. So, that's absolutely happening. And, my brother is a college football coach, and, one thing that he struggled with for a while is experience. Like they were looking for somebody with experience, looking for somebody for experience. And he's like, how am I supposed to get experience if nobody's going to give me this experience, And so that's exactly right. And I am one of those that I am totally up for kind of a healthy debate, if that makes sense. If somebody were to say, hey, I saw that you posted this information or whatever, but I don't feel like that's necessarily accurate. Like I would absolutely say, okay, well, tell me about it. Like, why do you think that that's not, accurate? Or like, what's your take on it a little bit? And having that kind of healthy debate a little bit. But there also are the haters on there that are just, there to squash your information. So yeah, it's to your point, coming back to a lot of times it is just regurgitating information. And again, as long as it's the right information and it's valid and it's helping somebody, heck yeah, like repost, reshare, teach your clients, do all of that, because it just makes it a lot easier when it comes to sharing information.
Are you a personal trainer who wants to scale and grow your business online? Have you been coaching online for years, yet don't know how to incorporate online into your current business model? Introducing Trainer Revenue Multiplier, the premier wealth creation system for fitness professionals that helps you earn more and work less. Visit www.trainerrevenuemultiplier.com today to schedule your free business accelerator session. If you're serious about taking your business to the next level, schedule your call today. I think a big part of that too may be like the ego getting in the way. If you have like a big ego, it's like, oh, I want to take credit for this. I don't want people to know that, I learned it from this other person. And then I think that's where, just being able to be a student at all points in your life is important.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And, I'm a big fan of podcasts. I do a lot of podcasts, a lot of, audio books are a big one for me as well. I spend a lot of time walking my dogs, and, even when I'm in my kitchen prepping food or something, I usually have like an audio book or a podcast going on because, there is a lot of new information coming out, and there is a lot of like continuing education. And that's where I do feel like a lot of coaches that maybe are really good coaches and they have a really big following and they've got a lot of clients, where they do maybe stop taking the time to just like look around and like what new information is out there, or what other, tidbits of information can I teach my clients, or learn for myself, or anything like that. Because again, it really goes back to, are you kind of practicing what you preach? Where if there, I am a supplement junkie. I do a lot of research on supplements. I am an athlete for 5% nutrition, so I get a lot of that. Where if I see like a new supplement come up, I'm like, ooh, what is this? And I'm Googling and I'm searching and I'm, seeing who's posted about it. So just taking the time to be able to do that on a regular basis is super important, especially when you are dealing with, a lot of general population clients who really don't know, who have all this information out there, and they're going to you, like the person that they hired and they trust and they, want to talk to for this information. And to just have as much of it as you can to lay out for them is the most important.
We have to be able to like offer that basic beginner information until we know otherwise, like that they do already know that.
100%. And, that's definitely something that I talk with my clients about often is, when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to workouts, there's like no magic workout that I know in my head that I'm just not sharing with anybody who doesn't pay me for personal training, right? Or there's like no magic diet that, you know, I'm only sharing with people that are my personal training clients that's just going to make you like this. You know, one thing that I share a lot is doing the very simple things consistently over time and being good at doing the basics. So, you know, I want to call it a little bit of like adult hand holding because that's what I do a lot is that, you know, you're totally right. Like we can do all this research. I can know all this information. But then when I have a client that's like, I'm at the grocery store and I have no idea like what I need to get. And you're like, oh crap, like, duh, I need to like go back to the basics. And there are so many times with my clients that I literally say, okay, yeah, you had a rough weekend, like, you know, off the rails, whatever it may be, like it's back to the basics. It's drinking your water, it's prepping your food, it's making sure you're eating said food, like very basic things. And so what I do a lot, especially with clients that are new, whether they've worked with trainers before, whether they've whatever, like we set out a calendar. Like, what day do you prep your food? What day do you go to the grocery store? What day do you do all of these things? Because if you don't have those like very basic things mapped out, like you're never sticking to your meal plan because you're never getting to the grocery store, you're never prepping your food. And so you can't really skip to here's your meal plan, you know, client, and then they're like, okay, yeah, but I don't like know where to go to the grocery store or where to shop, you know? So it is really taking those like basic steps because again, majority of people are, you know, are not at that like high level of, you know, breaking down individual macros themselves, really worrying about all their micronutrients, all this stuff. They're really just looking for, I need a plan and I need it to be basic and I need to be simple and I need to be able to follow this over and over and over again. So yeah, I mean, not overcomplicating it. And, you know, going back to your point about just knowing a lot of information, not like overwhelming your client with information also, you know what I mean? When I'm doing consultations, it's very basic information. When even for the first couple months, it's very basic information until those people really get a grasp on what they can do every single day, starting to see some results, starting to see feel good, feel confident, thing like that. And then we can kind of move up a little bit in all of the information that they're trying to take in.
When you first got into the personal training industry, did you have like a plan around like, hey, these are some things I want to do. These are like, this is what I want to achieve in maybe 2 years or 5 years, or like, how did you kind of go into that?
Yeah, great question. So, first of all, like I said, April will be 15 years that I've been a personal trainer, and I legitimately apologize to those clients that I had like 15 years ago because I had no idea what the hell I was doing, right? I mean, like, let's be real, when you are a personal trainer and you're taking on those first couple of clients, like you're trying to take all this information that you just learned from school and like apply it to real life, and you really have no idea what's going on, you know? So funny enough, you know, 15 years later, I still have two clients that still train with me that I originally started training with back at, you know, my first fitness center. Two clients that still train with me, and I love having them because obviously they've seen the whole process. You know, as far as goals, you know, going back to the whole money thing, I am a very money motivated person. I am very money motivated. And I think that obviously having a sales role, which let's be real, which is what personal training is, right? Like they don't actually teach you sales when you're going to school to be a personal trainer, and they don't tell you how much sales you're going to be doing. But you know, going back to having a sales background, I mean, that is probably the best job of any kind for somebody that is very money motivated because you set your own, you know, pay scale. You know, it's kind of one of those things. So when I first got into personal training and like got a real job and all of that, my biggest motivator was I wanted to buy a house. Like I lived in an apartment my whole life. You know, obviously being a college kid, like you're with roommates, like it's just not a great, you know, don't love it. I wanted to buy a house. And so by Like I was bound and determined I was going to work as much as I possibly could to be able to put the down payment on this house. And so 2 years later, actually after graduation, is when I bought my house. So it essentially took me 2 years. And let's be real, again, the housing market in 2024 is a little different than 2009. But you know, when it comes to that, like that was my biggest motivation, is I wanted to make a bunch of money being a personal trainer and being on commission. I was there all the time. I got into the fact where I was the morning-ish personal trainer. To answer your original question, I am not a morning person, but I'm working on it. But I was the morning-ish trainer, and then I was there all day and all night, and I was there all the time because, again, I was just by default picking up some clients because I was the only one there at 9 p.m. when somebody wanted to personal train, or that was the only time that worked for them. So then I got into small group training, where, cool, you mean these 5 people are all paying me at the same time? Even better. Let's do this multiple times a day. So, you know, just trying to get as many clients in as possible that way. So money is a motivator. It's still a motivator this many years later, which is why I have 12 jobs. But, you know, that was the biggest thing when I first got into personal training, is that I wanted to make a bunch of money and buy a house.
Gotcha. And is it still something where it's like a numbers goal? Is it like it like at different points? I guess it could be different, but do you find it being more like a numbers goal? Do you find it more being like a hey, I want this specific thing goal, or what is it?
Yeah, great question. So, I think a little bit, I mean, you know, at the end of the day, when you're, you know, thinking about how much money you make every single month, and you got that bottom dollar, that's one thing. But, for me now, I, actually just had somebody out yesterday, to give me a bid on redoing the flooring in my entire house. So, you know, not same house actually, but different house. But now it is, you know, kind of, being able to see the things of the work that I'm doing, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So, you know, you put in all this work, and then you've, you know, just using this example, you've got a nice big, like, beautiful wood floor in your house that you get to see every day. And you're like, yes, like this is the reason why. So kind of being able to see those benefits and reap the rewards of the hard work.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. You mentioned the sales, that how much it is like a sales kind of thing, and I think there's two areas. One would be sales, and one would be psychology. That I think they should,
Yeah,
really touch on more when it comes to like these uh, physical activity,
yeah,
exercise, health related
yeah.
fields. Because whether it's personal trainer or diet nutrition, or even going all the way up to doctor.
Yeah, for sure. And I can tell you that, you know, and in my entire college career, I don't think I took really any sales classes at all, you know. And because it was one of those where at the time you didn't even think about it. Like, of course all these clients are just going to be coming running to you after you get done with school because of all this information that you know and that you just paid the college for, type of thing. So yeah, it's absolutely not something that you learn, or that you know, learn in school. It is a really on the job training type of deal, you know what I mean? And it's one of those where, going back to just sales, because aside from personal training, I've had a ton of different sales jobs where maybe, you know, I'm not selling a product, like a tangible thing. You know, now I'm in memberships. You know, I've done some gym memberships. I've done, you know, all kinds of different types of sales. But at the end of the day, it's a little bit all the same, right? I mean, it's kind of determining that pain point and making that pain point and continuing to go down that pain point worse than the alternative, you know? And so that's kind of what it breaks down. And so really asking the right questions, and those type of questions and those type of, like, consultative type of things really just comes from experience, you know, about how to word things correctly to get people to just have that aha moment about, like, oh yeah, you're right. Like, I look in the mirror and I don't like what I see every single day. So what do I need to do about that now, so I don't continue to do that every single day? So just really kind of taking the time to, you know, not only pinpoint it, but then, like, kind of feed off of that a little bit, and then continue to use that. So yeah, kind of that reoccurring, like, you know, how do you get these people not only to purchase, you know, your personality, your personal training, what you're offering at all, but then like to continue to do it because you're trying to build this business, you know, going back to personal training, but it can apply to pretty much any type of sales. Like, how do these people, how do you get them to continue to come back, you know, and continuing to kind of go off of that? So, you know, with my clients, we work a lot on goals, you know, on, okay, this was your goal that you told me 2 months ago. Like, where are we at? Is that still your goal? Is it something you think about all the time? And are you there yet? And if not, then what are we doing to be able to get there? And so it is just as much on me as a coach to continue to remind them of what their goals are and what they originally told me and all of that, to continue to sell them on the whole idea, but then their responsibility to say, oh, like, you know what, that's not my goal anymore. Like, we need to regroup and we need to continue to do that. So, you know, it does suck for me in your brain to like think about personal training and nutrition and stuff like that as sales, because it is really something that is a lifestyle, and obviously you want to continue to change, but it is sales at the end of the day, and that's how you are making money, and it is a business, and that's how, you know, people make their livelihood. So it is a hard line sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that goes back to like, how are you doing that? I think that's what the line is, at least for me. Like, how are you trying to sell somebody who really doesn't want this thing? I think at
Yeah.
that point, it's not a good thing. But if you're really just trying to like, okay, this person has come to me, they said that they've wanted it. Now I'm just trying to sell them on the fact that, hey, this is a good idea for you. And I'm the you know, I can be the one to help you to get there. I think then, you know, it's all about like I think your morals and your ethics when it comes to that selling.
Yeah, 100%. And you know, I have a couple of like business mentors. I have several coaches that I've talked to about like how they set up their business, you know. And I am 100% sold on the fact that I would rather have 5 clients that are 100% all in, that are paying a little bit more money, than 15 clients that are halfway in and a little bit of a pain that are paying less money. You know, you see a lot of these coaches that I'm going to say that their programs are cheaper than mine, right? Like, I'm not the cheapest coach out there. I'm probably not the most expensive. I'm probably somewhere in the middle, but you would rather have those clients that are committed, that are saying, yeah, you know what, like, this is going to make things a little bit tight financially, but like, I trust in you, and be able then to be available for those people whenever. You know, that's one thing, hopefully, like, if any of my clients do listen to this and all of that, that like, that I pride myself on, is that I am available for my clients all the time. I tell them, I set that up ahead of time of like, you text me, I'm going to get back to you that same day with an answer, no matter what. You're not waiting several days. You're not waiting for me to, you know, answer these questions, whatever it may be, and being available for them. Whereas if you've got 100 clients, it's really difficult to, you know, even if they've got one simple question every single day, to get back to those people in a timely manner. So, you know, I have scaled my business model a little bit in the fact of like, okay, I would much rather have 5 very dedicated, you know, clients that are all in, than 15 that are like, okay, I'm just going to give this a try because it's not, you know, super expensive, and why the heck not type of deal. So, you know, kind of setting up the business model a little bit that way.
This podcast is sponsored by Smoking Gun Coffee, a veteran-owned coffee company that strives to give back to those in need. Don't forget to use code TWR10 for a 10% discount at checkout.
Just going back to the way that the dynamics have changed in the 15 years of personal training in my life, let's say, right? You know, as a personal trainer that is going into a gym every single day trying to get clients, typically those clients have no idea what you do every day. Meaning, like, am I prepping my food? Am I going to the gym every day? Am I lifting weights? And am I doing all that? They really have no idea, unless you're just physically telling them like, yep, I'm prepping my food every day. The way that social media has really changed the dynamics of that is crazy. And, you know, on my social media, what I really try to do is show everybody the work that actually has to go behind doing all of this. You know, the fact that like, I'm working 12-hour days sometimes. There's not a minion in my kitchen prepping my food. I'm doing it myself. I don't use food prep companies or anything like that. I do all my own stuff. So yeah, guess what? Like, I know you had a long day and you're working and all that stuff. Me too. But guess what I am doing? At the end of my day, I'm prepping my food, making sure it's ready for tomorrow. And I'm showing people that on my social media. So they're not like, oh, this person just wakes up and looks like this and magically your food appears in her fridge. That doesn't happen. Like, I have to go to the store too. I have to prep my food too. I have to make time for the gym too. And so they're really associating like, okay, this person is really human and just got done working all day long and also has to prep food or also has to go to the grocery store. So I think that going back to the sales, there is a lot of that too, because I feel like that the influencers or the people on social media that like aren't showing that side, like are doing themselves a disservice, because it really does help. Because I get a ton of questions like, oh man, like, you're really prepping food at 10:30. Yep, didn't make this up. I'm really prepping food at 10:30, type of deal. So it has really helped, I'm going to say, in that sales aspect, because I don't really have to do a lot of selling. People see like, okay, this is the habits that this person does every day. And I come across as like, let me just help you do what I'm doing and show you the steps on how to do these things every single day, as opposed to like, this person's trying to sell me something that I don't feel like that I need. We can go on all day about the, I'm going to say advantages and disadvantages of social media when it comes to sales, just in general, but it really has changed the landscape of how, I'm going to say online coaches just in general, have done their business. And, last year is when I really transitioned to basically all online personal training and nutrition. And, going back to the being very money motivated thing, is that, it was the right step to make, because when you're talking about personal training clients in a gym setting for X number hours a day versus online, where I'm here at my computer in my office at home, and I can be, setting up a consultation, I can be doing a meal plan, I can be, posting on my social media, all within that same 1 hour that I am, at the gym, and I didn't have to go anywhere. Like, great, high five. And so maybe is that setting and that business model, does it work for everybody? No. I mean, there are going to be some that really just need that like in-person personal training experience. But the way of the world now, especially, after everybody's been at home or was at home for a little while, it's really changed the landscape and the ability for people to just jump onto an app, see what their workouts are, do them at home, do them at the gym, whatever it may be, and not have to have that, like, I need to see you in person to be able to do this thing type of thing. So it really has changed. And obviously social media and being an online coach is definitely kind of I'm going to say the way of the future, I think, when it comes to a lot of personal training.
I agree, and I think it's really good for I think it's good for both parties really, because it gives you, the coach, more flexibility and freedom as, the business owner, but it also gives that client like this ability to reach out when they are at the grocery store. Like, you're probably not going to do that with the personal trainer that's at your gym, but as the online coach, it's like, hey, I can, text maybe my coach when I'm at XYZ restaurant and be like, hey, I don't really know what to order in this situation. What would you recommend? Or, I'm not really sure, I go to a different gym than you, so like maybe in a different state than you. So like, but you can send them a quick video and be like, hey, how do I do this exercise? Or does this look good? Or, there's so many benefits to both parties. I think it's really immense, the value that can be offered there.
I agree. And that goes also for new personal trainers. To be honest, I get a lot of, I'm going to say more a couple of years ago, even when I was doing more in-person training, I get questions from a lot of like new personal trainers, because the gym, that I personal train at now, which is very little at this point, because again, I'm trying to just transition everything to online. I have a lot of people are like, well, are you taking new personal trainers at your gym? Yeah. But like, if you're a new personal trainer, we're an independent training studio. So like, there's not just people walking in the door to be able to look for personal trainers there. You got to bring your people with you. And so, that whole premise goes to new personal trainers as well. And any personal trainer that I have talked to that is like, I'm looking into going to personal training, or, when I was competing, there were a lot of people that are like, I'm looking into going into personal training. Like, they really need that like in the box gym time to be able to market themselves, to be able to talk to people, to be able to, see the equipment, to be able to use the equipment themselves, things like that, so that way they really can get that experience and then later on be a good online coach. Because, at this point in time, I have worked out at so many gyms, I have trained at so many gyms and all of that, that like I can basically explain you a rear delt fly and a lying leg curl like in my sleep, and so being able to make a video, being able to explain that to somebody over a voice message or whatever, you've got to have that like real life in-person experience first before you are a good online coach. So a lot of these people, going back to social media and influencers and all of that, who haven't really put in that time and like marketing themselves and doing that, like the in the trenches hard work type of deal, aren't going to be, like, in my opinion, as good of coaches probably as, I'm going to say, those of us that are kind of old school and had to do that and we didn't have any other option that way, so that is just going back to, as a client, just doing a little bit of research again on who your personal trainer is and who your nutrition coach is. Like, where did this person come from? What are they doing? How long have they been a personal trainer? What are their certifications? Not that certifications mean everything, but just feeling that out a little bit to be able to say, okay, like, this is going to be a good fit for me, because I am new to personal training or using a personal trainer and nutrition. And that's going to be a good fit. So really finding that person that is going to be the best for you.
Yeah. I think a lot of people think they can kind of skip that first step, right? And
100%.
like, oh, I don't have to go into the gym anymore because I can
Yeah.
just do this.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's like, if that's your mindset of skipping steps, then you're also probably going to get, because like even in the online world, like it still is what it is. Like, it's still a business. It's still, you're going to have hard times, you're going to have good times. And is that personality of skipping steps going to be the coach that is the right one for you? And is that the person that's going to be around in 5 or 10 years because things weren't always easy?
Yeah, absolutely. And, being able to just, as you're starting a personal training business, or I'm going to say any business, just like you said, putting in the time and like the legwork to be able to get you to kind of where you want to go. When I was just starting personal training, like, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to jump in head first and make the amount of money that I wanted to make. So like, I was personal training full time plus time and then bartending. It's like, okay, well, I gotta kind of burn the candle at both ends, and still 15 years I'm still doing that. But to be able to not only, like, yes, feed my passion, but also feed myself a little bit too. Whereas, like, you can't just beat yourself up, trying to get all of these clients all the time, and then, or be in the gym all the time either, so there's got to be a little bit of balance of like, okay, I need to make some money and like actually pay my bills and do all of that, but like, I still need to be able to work on my business and all of that too. And you know another side note, and being able to actually like take some time for yourself, which I cannot write a book or speak to that whatsoever, because I do not do that. But being able to kind of learn that at a little bit of a young age of like, okay, here's my work hours and here's my balance, and then like, here's my little bit of me time type of deal. So something that I am not good at. Taking that time doesn't need to be like, I'm just going to sit on my couch and do absolutely nothing for an hour. It's literally just finding like what that thing is for you that kind of makes your brain go away a little bit. I told you that I'm working on being this more of a morning person thing. So, in the mornings, probably in the last like month or two, when I get up, like, the first thing that I'm doing, getting ready, whatever, and then I take my dogs for a walk actually in the morning now. And during that time, basically from the time that I wake up in the morning, to the time that I like get done walking my dogs, I am not on my phone, or anything like that. Like, yes, I have my phone with me, whatever it may be, but I am not on social media. I'm not answering text messages, and that's a good, probably like hour 15 or so of just like, I'm on my phone for like 23 and a half hours a day. So it's like, okay, I just need to not answer this yet. I'm getting some steps in, I'm getting some light exposure, I'm getting some coffee in, getting some water, walking my dogs, which I love to do, things like that. And just like leaving my phone off just for a little bit. And so that has really like kind of changed your mornings just a little bit, and going back to building habits and going back to all of that, your morning routine and how you start your day and things like that really shape the rest of your day and the rest of your week. So working a lot on morning routine and just taking that little bit of time, for sure.
Looking into, the rest of 2024 and things, what kind of goals do you have, talking about those financial goals or business goals, or, what kind of goals do you have set?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now I am kind of pulled in a bunch of different ways. I have a very eclectic, I'm going to say, set of things that I like to do, right? So when it comes to kind of some financial goals, I have some pretty cool things I want to do with my house. I mean, as weird as it sounds, I'm not like a real big like vacationer. Like I'm not one to like, not that I don't love it, but I'm not going to go like sit on a beach. Like that's not my thing. Again, not that I wouldn't, but I'm just like not in the back of my head like, man, I want to make all this money to go sit on a beach type of deal. Again, I want to be able to see the tangible like work versus reward type of thing. So I've got some upgrades I want to do to my house. One of them is putting on a big patio with a fire pit, all of that. I really like to sit outside and do work and things like that. So I love my deck right now. I'm working on making a patio, so that's a big one. I also am a hunter, so I'm going to say in my free time I do some hunting. I grew up on a cattle ranch with a hunting outfit, so I've got some hunts planned coming up for this year, which is fun. Obviously it's an expensive hobby as well, so being able to fund that for sure is a big one. But being able to kind of grow my online business as well, and it's one of those where my online I'm going to say presence is something that I work on quite a bit. And, when it comes to online, I never thought that it would be what it is now. It just kind of happened, and then you're managing how it is. But being able to grow more online and being able to do more online, which allows me the time to spend at home, with my dogs, and I am really a homebody. So, the more that I grow that like online presence and online, clientele, the more that I get to do like the things that I really like to do. So that's a big goal for kind of 2024. So, put some additions on my house, then do some hunting, and I'm going to say vacation that way, and then kind of continue to grow my online personal training and nutrition business as much as I can to be able to enjoy the things that I like.
Before we head, if you want to share any social media or anything like that, you can.
Yeah, so my Instagram handle is at jiodence, so it's at JIODENCE. And if you click on my link tree in there, that's going to have my coaching application. So right now I do obviously all free consultations. So just being able to chat with me a little bit about what your goals are, some things like that. And then really it's just a conversation whether you're going to be a good fit for me as a client and whether I'm going to be a good fit for you as a personal trainer and nutrition coach, and then being able to kind of make a game plan that way. So find me on Instagram. That's where I'm going to be majority of the time and the easiest to get a hold of. And then if you're looking for a personal trainer or nutrition coach, go ahead and fill out my application in my link tree, and then I'll be able to chat with you directly.
If you're tired of searching for a coach or trainer, somebody who knows what they're talking about and has experience, make sure you go check out the new Coach's Corner on weightroompodcast.com. You can find quality, qualified coaches to help you achieve your goals, whether that's in bodybuilding or just general fitness. Stop wasting time and start achieving your goals today. The link to the Coach's Corner is down in the description below.